It's showtime.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Neitherworld podcast. I am Perry and I'm joined as always by my co-hosts
Matty,
Ben,
Charlie.
this week's guest is someone you may have seen dancing all over TikTok and the wider internet, so please introduce yourself and tell us a little something about you.
Hello, my name is Will. On the internet, on TikTok and Instagram, I am known as misterdoctorcosplay. And a fun fact about me, I went to New York to see Beetlejuice in the month of October when they had the exclusive playbills on. And I took a grand total of 86 playbills from the theatre in over 2 days.
power move.
It was actually Ben that taught me where the ushers hide the playbills during intermission. And so I used this newfound knowledge and I snagged a bunch for myself and for my friends, and I still have some left.
Yeah.
I really hope nobody from the Schubert organization is listening in. Fingers crossed.
This is a joke.
They also have behind the curtain of the little curtains that you see on the sides of the theatre. That's where they keep big stacks of them so that they can refill them and put the slips in them every time. So don't steal them from there because normally it's behind the back row of the chairs. But
Oh no,
they have so many.
I was in the orchestra and I was able to get some from the back row. They had some spare.
Oh yeah, I
which
just
was
mean don't feel bad. They have like literally 1 million. So you
Okay, thank God.
All right.
Perfect.
Yay.
So, first up, we're going to have the deets, and as usual, there's not much to talk about, because, Broadway's still shut, but we wanted to raise something that some people might not be aware of that's going on at the moment. It's called Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors, and it's a one-off radio podcast with various actors that we know and love, namely Alex Brightman, Rob McClure. So, has anyone heard of this or listened to it yet? Because personally, I'm only halfway through the first episode. This one's pretty new to me. Is this a strictly theatre thing, or is it just something they've hired on account of voice actors?
I think it's just hired on voice actors because there seems to be quite a few like stage and kind of film actors in it as well. But it seems to be just like a fun combination of people who are bored in quarantine and want to produce some content for us all to enjoy. I've not listened to it personally yet. I'm waiting for it all to be done and then I can listen to it all in one go. Just pick a day and go for it. But it looks so much fun. From the first episode, it's really good. I'm only halfway through it, but so is it like a comedic parody, or is it almost so it's like radio show? Comedic parody of Dracula. Brilliant. I'm all for one of those. Now, I think the important question is how involved is Alex and/or who is he playing?
True.
I haven't worked out who he's playing yet. Like, I don't know whether he's just not turned up or his voice acting is really good. But is it just because he's not doing the Beetlejuice voice? We have no idea where he is. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, he's just using his normal voice and we're just not used to it.
We hear him on studio albums. He doesn't sound like Dewey Finn. He doesn't sound like Beetlejuice. We cannot find this man.
No, he's easily disguisable. Maybe he's switched the other way and he's gone like really weirdly high pitched, and we're like, that can't be the man. That can't be the man we know.
Alex Brightman is playing Renfield.
Oh.
Well, I'll know who to look out for now, at least. I feel like Alex Brightman is the Daniel Day-Lewis of voices. Yeah. He just gets completely unrecognizable.
Do you guys...
We've got Rob McClure as well as Lord Windsor and Lord Cavendish.
Oh, of course he's a fucking lord.
But he's gonna be a lord.
Of course he is. We love that. We love that, man. It's such a shame that...
We love to see.
We do love to see it. It's such a shame that the Doubtfire didn't even get as much time, because I haven't seen it and I don't know how great it was, but it seemed to be really good. But I really hope it reopens.
The reception and the makeup's insane from like the officially released picture.
Oh yeah, and also there's
still amazing.
Because they also do it in a I swear they said they do it in like a matter of seconds of the quick
18
change.
18 seconds for the quick change.
Bruh.
Really?
And they do it multiple times.
That is
the prosthetics and everything. That's insane.
Yeah,
because
like for prosthetics and costume and all of that, and it's 18 seconds, which is mental.
Unbelievable. Because there's it's really interesting to see as well if any of you have been backstage, or also just as a thing of that I've seen backstage of the little quick change booths. of it's dependent on what the quick change is where you go, but with the quick change boost they have all the different outfits that people have to like quickly get changed into, and there's like usually 2 or 3 dresses depending on the thing, probably a few more with something like that for the prosthetics, but you can see all these like lined up costumes and see the some of them are also made to be like super quick. So like one of the things, there was a suit that had was basically turned into a onesie in Be More Chill that I saw, of that they added a big zipper around the back of it. So it was just really, really easy, because he had like a 5-second quick change, or like a bit more than that, but something crazy. But the modifications you have to do to that. So I wonder if they have something maybe like that, or if it's because there's also quite a few layers to her outfit, it seems. But it's funny because also there's the the Mean Girls quick change, like that happens on stage.
Yeah.
Like it's like they take it off with a knife in her back or something. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, when Doubtfire comes onto Broadway, I think that's got to go in the Quick Change Hall of Fame, right up there with Mean Girls.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how you have to make like modifications to outfits like that too. That's what also because as cosplay people, like we're all super interested, like, or at least to an extent interested in costume and stuff and how it's put together, and with all of us looking at our, like, Will, I can see your beach jacket's got all the like green mess because he's a dirty boy, and like
I just got to make it dirty, got like bugs and stuff in here. I tried to do some of like the stitching details in the sleeves.
Love that.
I do have to refer to Perry though, because the insane amount of work that he put on his suit, especially the dots.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah, we can't compare to Perry's dots.
No.
I've heard so many stories of turmoil about the dots and how he's starting to see dots in his sleeve.
The dots ruined my life.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
If anyone wants to do the dots, my advice is don't.
I pitched it to like this group chat that me and Perry are in, full of Beetlejuice cosplayers that we've had for a while, and I was like, hey, a lot of people are starting to do the dots. Should I do the dots? And everybody that did the dots is no, don't do the dots.
Not worth it.
Don't do
Absolutely
it.
not worth it.
Don't do
Like,
the dots.
Oh God, the worst choice was deciding to do the dots on the trousers, because once I'd started, I then had to finish, and I'd already done the jacket, so I was like, I know this is bad, and then I just kept doing it, and I was like, what is happening?
My good lord. I mean, the concentration and also the time. Because when I start a cosplay, like, I really, really want to, like, immediately finish it. And that's what's annoying. Because also I don't have, like, I hand sew everything. So if I'm making stuff from fabric, then I'm like, I either have to sit here for, like, 5 hours and do this, or I'm going to discard this for, like, a week. Which is exactly what's happening with my Pinocchio jacket upstairs. But the closest I think I have comparable to the dots, because I have not done the dots. I've just made the suit a bit dirty. But is when I made my red guy wig for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, which I'm still fixing, because when I made it the first time, so and I took like 3 balls of yarn, and it took me 5 hours, and it's still not fully covered. It was like an old pink wig. I cut it short because it goes over it to use it as like a base to just hot glue string onto it, and it was like each individual thing of yarn you have to cut, and that takes absolutely forever, and then you bunch them into like groups of 6 and then hot glue it, and then you get burns everywhere, and then you also like have to do it individual string by string, which is just the most painful thing, like the amount of details that go into that. And it's so cool for you as like a person, or as a as well as when they do that in like professional stuff, like obviously with Beej and with many other shows, like the little things like the stitching, like the slight red colorant on his the red stitching on his red beach jacket, that kind of goes unnoticed by some people, but like for the costume design of a lot of shows, there's so much detail and thought put into that, and the amount of time, crazy. But I
it just shows like because I think theatre is sort of a really good medium to express the sort of thought that goes into costuming, because a lot of the time there are quick changes that happen through shows, even some of the more like upper scale ones, because you could argue that some musicals that fall under the banner sort of like Mean Girls and Beetlejuice all sort of form under the same banner for sort of like just fun and for like entertainment, but then there's the big grand ones like the Rodgers and Hammerstein ones and Andrew Lloyd Webber ones. Even some of those feature sort of like the insane detail that goes into costuming and quick change and that sort of thing. And I think theatre's a really good sort of like medium to express that, and it shows sort of like when theaters like, or when productions care about the material and like the story they're adapting by the quality of the costumes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah.
there's a few musicals that maybe are adapting source material that don't really care for accuracy to the original or making costumes that would be accurate to the time period or something like that. There's one notable example that I'm not going to say out loud because I think I would come under fire. It's a pretty popular musical that sort of falls under the banner of Mean Girls and Beetlejuice.
Oh, sure, yep.
I think some people kind of catch my drift a little bit, but yeah.
I think I know what you're talking about. The costumes are pretty cool on that, though.
Yeah, there's a lot of costumes and productions that are really good, but there's just one that I can think of, and I'm just gonna say it's not really big fun for me.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sure.
Fair enough.
That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
It's amazing how much thought must go into it and planning as well, because you can't just think of something and just say, "Oh, this is gonna work." How many times they've got to practice that before they actually get it down right? Like we were talking about prosthetic and everything on Miss Doubtfire. That's crazy because of how much planning's gone into that. So it you must be really proud to see the finished product after all that.
Yeah, it's really calculated.
Yeah.
It's got to be and they've got to time it, they've got to figure it, and the amount of and multiple dresses, and also they don't get that's something I want to acknowledge of a lot of backstage people, and especially costume designers. A lot of cool people like that, they don't get a bow at the end, or the wardrobe supervisors, like my friend Kelly, who's wonderful and she supervises everything, and the amount of work that goes into every show. She worked on Be More Chill and Play That Goes Wrong, and they did about 6 rounds of laundry per show. And it's all sweaty and disgusting, and even with really basic stuff Be More Chill has some more complicated costumes, but a lot of it is teen clothes, and they have to wash all the t-shirts and all the show underwear and all the everything every single time because they're doing amazing choreography, and the amount of care that has to go into that, and have to check that nothing's broken every time, because if they move wrong or a stitch goes out of place, or fixing the shoes as well. My friend worked on Cats, and that's a different issue, but they had a raked stage, and that was really not good for their feet or their shoes. And the shoes were also a bit cheaply made, so they got worn out very easily. So the amount of love that has to be put into that, not only for the beautiful stage value, but for the safety of the actors, to make sure stuff doesn't get caught, because if part of your dress falls off, or part of that, because I remember this is more of a wardrobe malfunction, which is not the fault of anybody really, but it was when I saw Will Blum for the first time, he tried to rip off the game show outfit, and it got stuck. And it got stuck on his leg and on his arm, and they all tried to rip it off, and he was just trying to continue, and just kept kicking it off his leg.
Oh, wow.
And we love you, Will Blum.
We do love Will Blum.
Well, we hear shout out to both Will Blum and all of the behind the stage workers that do this kind of stuff every night on the theatre. Just a quick shout out to them, because I feel
we don't talk enough in the community about people having to do all the laundry and stuff, and they have to do it during the show sometimes as well.
Yeah,
so much of it happens during the show.
Yeah,
not just after.
Especially the bigger productions.
Exactly, dressers and stage managers, and because oh my god, stage managers, they call everything, and just there's so much prep put into that, and putting people's water bottles, making it ready, because it is really hard to act and stuff, but also a lot of actors I know are they're lovely, but some people can be divas or annoying, or they move a prop where they're not supposed to. Probably not as much in professional theatre, but even in amateur theatre, it's annoying as hell, but you gotta put that, and the amount of work, because also actors can rock up 30 minutes before, they know their lines, they're doing great, they kill it, but the amount of work that has to go in before, you have to come in an hour before, prep the wardrobe, make sure everything's ready, make sure the stage is reset, clean the stage, all the confetti on the beach stage, and just everything like that, and the ushers, the amount of, if they have to deal with annoying people, get people's phones off, if they're just checking the sports in the middle of I've seen so many people just check their phones in the middle of theatre for no fucking reason, and as if they're bored, and it's bruh, on Broadway, you're spending so much money, and I know anybody who would take your place right now, and it's these guys who have been dragged there by their wives or something like that, and it's oh my god, I hate you. And they have to ushers have to deal with that, so there's a lot of there's so much work that goes into doing theatre, which is also a shame as to why everything is closing, because it means so many people lose their jobs. But when it comes back, it's also a great field to be involved in, with very many different capabilities, because there's so much that goes into being it. Like if you're a business person, you can do more producing. If you don't want to act but you have a lot of say, you can do more directing. Like, you know, it's like there's so many components that go into that besides just the acting that which is basically what you guys said, but, you know, which is something that's definitely, you know, needs to be more acknowledged. There was and also the band downstairs. When I saw Bands Visit, they did a little projection of the sometimes, you know, like the orchestra. The conductor gets like a little bit of a bow, but obviously the rest, which is supposed to be for the orchestra as well. But, you know, like there's them who are even more heavily involved, like visibly in the show than others. That holds it up in musicals, you know, like orchestra is big part of
it.
How they're able to sort of like replicate that every night.
Yeah.
And I mean, because most people don't even tend to consider the fact that theatres run off of orchestras. They sort of just take the music as a given. Like, I'll admit, when I first got into sort of theatre and that, it didn't even cross my mind that down just below the stage there's an orchestra down there every night.
Exactly. It's so crazy. I mean, like, I'm glad they get some bows and stuff, but yeah, there's so much unacknowledged. But also, one time I saw Beetlejuice, and one of the conductors, he was mainly it's Chris. I can't remember his last name, but we love him. And
wait, you're telling me it's not the shrunken head guy that does all the conducting?
Oh no! Well, that's his name.
He gets the bow after every show. This guy really out here claiming all of the success.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
But
cancel.
Cancel the shrunken head guy. Cancel it.
Sorry
False
for interrupting.
No, but it's mainly this guy called Chris. And then there's two other conductors, and I don't know one of their names, but one of them is a guy called Joey who I know, and he was conducting when Will Blum was on, and then suddenly I saw it switch to the other co-conductor when I looked over, and I was like, okay, weird, that was like mid-song. And then I saw it switch back, and then I asked afterwards, like, hello, what was that about? And turns out he went, oh, I gotta go throw up. So mid-number, he had to swap with the guy playing piano, switch. He went, somebody else played the piano, somebody else left their post or something. He went to conduct, and then he came back, and then they switched back mid-show again. And it's
wow.
mid, I think it was mid, like, Fright of Their Lives.
That's
and
cool.
Like, exactly, because there's also not only just, like, mishaps that can happen on stage, and the amount of, like, professionalism for them to just be like, real quick, let me just go throw up, then come back, then I got it. And I didn't even, like, in the music, you couldn't notice at all. I only noticed because I was looking, being like, oh, that's Joey. And I was like, oh, where'd he go? But it's so crazy, like the amount of work that you put through that. But it was so smooth as well, like, because people just don't pay attention to that. But it's so, you know, the show goes on.
I mean, I did the music for a performance of Oliver at my secondary school. It was small. Didn't matter. But there were two pianists. It was me and a girl at school, and we had to keep swapping out because she had learned half the songs and I'd learned the other half.
Wow.
because this production was put on in like a month, and both of us were good pianists, but we weren't good enough to learn an entire show in a month. So we basically just split the work.
Wow.
And there were some that we were doing duets on. It was mental. But yeah, the kind of logistics, and with that, the area we were performing in didn't have a proper pit. So I imagine we were really distracting. We were told to wear black, obviously, so that we kind of blended in a bit. But it was literally just, we had a chair next to the piano and then the chair at the piano. And we just had to keep swapping every time.
Wow.
Every time it was no longer a song we could play. And sometimes it would be mid-song, sometimes it would be like, as the scene changed, we quickly swapped over. But yeah, it was
that is kind of so unbelievably
crazy.
Iconic. Like, that is actually really that's a performance in itself, to be honest. You could just sit there and just switch and like play out the chords. I love that.
People pay to come watch the musicians switch in and out, just sort of like see how seamless the music is, just like people jumping on and off the piano. That I would pay to see no actors on the stage, just the instrumental and just the musicians swapping out with each other like musical tennis.
You could do the play that goes wrong, but just the orchestra. So have the orchestra on stage playing, and then like as things are going wrong, you see the orchestra kind of like one guy throws up and one guy needs a loo and things like that, and then swapping out.
I would pay Broadway prices for that
experience. They should do a musical.
Absolutely, yeah.
They should do a musical goes wrong. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
that would be
musical
so
goes
good.
wrong.
If they got
It should be full of like voice cracks and
Oh, yeah.
just an understudy switches halfway through the show.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean,
There's-
it would just be that one Beetlejuice show that I saw, where
The one where they switched Alex out for Will.
yeah, Alex got switched out for Will,
Oh.
and you had Eric going on as Oso, despite the fact that Eric doesn't even play Oso.
Wow.
So that's the musical that goes wrong. Just
That
one
was
show.
that's
Literally
history. That's
is.
like something for the grandkids. You witnessed
Yeah,
the
that was
history.
it was Sean Montgomery going on as Adam last second without warning after being told that he was going to be playing Zoto. So then Will
Wow.
Blum having to be pulled out of not playing anyone to play Oto. Then after the first song, Alex realizes he's not going to be able to finish the show, so says to Will, hey, you're going to have to play Beetlejuice, and they have to figure out who's going to be playing Oto.
Jesus.
Because Sean, who would usually cover it, is on Adam, and Abe, who would cover otherwise, is off sick.
Oh,
And this is
my
also
lord.
the first week of the new stage manager. So, baptism by fire, I guess.
Wow.
I
Baptism
think
by
they
fire, very true.
I think the show started with 3 understudies on and ended with 6.
Wow. You saw that
Yeah.
live?
Yeah, I was there live, and as the announcements happened, I was the only person who was like a big Beetlejuice fan in my area. So this announcement came up saying the role of Beetlejuice will now be played by Will Blum, and the role of Oto will now be played by Eric Anthony Johnson. And I sit there and go, but Eric, what? And everyone around me just thought I was insane, but I was just like, but how's he? What? Huh? So
Well, I
great.
mean, now that sadly it's not Beetlejuice isn't coming back to the Winter Garden,
Yeah.
you can say that you have witnessed officially the most chaotic show that they ever played at the Winter Garden, because there's nothing that's gonna break that precedent. Now you witnessed the most chaotic performance of
I was
Beetlejuice
there.
that
I was
ever
there
there
for it.
was.
So it's great, and I had so many understudies and last minute changes when I was there. It was just 1 week of chaos, and I happened to be there to witness it.
I love that.
which-
You got 3 shows for the price of 1.
Yeah, oh my
Exactly.
god. Because so many people are
Yeah.
like, oh my god, how do I really, I can only see Beetlejuice once, but I really love Will Blum, but I also love Alex. Which one should I book? And then it's like, just go to that one show where
Yeah,
just
everything...
one
go
show,
there that
you get
one day.
everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think in that week it was great. I managed to see every single cast member apart from Abe, who was off sick, and Kelvin, who plays Oto. I saw 3 Otos that weren't Kelvin.
Whoa.
And then I didn't see Abe, but otherwise I saw every single understudy cast member swing anything. They were all on that week. It's great.
I love that. There's because there's also a thing of as you were talking about Play That Goes Wrong and understudies and stuff. The Play That Goes Wrong was the first thing I sort of interned on when it was the OG cast on Broadway, and it was so cool. But the funny thing about that is of understudy stuff is because it's made to go wrong. When stuff actually goes wrong, people don't believe it. They think it's really funny. So it's really funny because one time a guy nearly got got a concussion because if you know the scene where a big thing falls from the doorway and it swings and it hits him in the head. What it actually did was it didn't hit him in the head, but because he's supposed to, they have the big slapstick that kind of goes like that and makes the noise that people do with the timing backstage. But what happened was he was trying to lean back and he got whiplash. And he hurt his neck real bad, and so then other people were like, "Oh, he's they made an announcement being like, oh, this guy's out, and a new guy's coming in, and everybody was laughing, and so multiple occasions have happened where somebody's like, oh, they had to go throw up mid show, and when another actor comes on, they just kind of laugh. They're like, oh, this is part of it, right? Everything's going wrong, and then it's like, no, this person had to go home with a concussion, they are very ill. But it's very
Yeah.
It's
funny.
people who are the fans of the franchise and the show themselves are just sort of nervous, sweating, just oh my god, are they okay?
Yeah,
Just people completely unawares. I think that's part of the beauty of it.
I know, I love that. But it's also, the good thing about it, though, is it leaves, if they actually mess up, a line or something, they can very easily, which I've seen that happen a few times, or just, other things mess up, I've seen it where, some of the set pieces are supposed to fall, but they don't. So something that's supposed to go wrong doesn't go wrong, but they have so much freedom in that if something goes wrong and it's not supposed to, that's the perfect show.
For your first show, that's the perfect first production, because you can mess up on your first day all you like, and the audience just feels like they're in on the joke.
You can.
There's something quite beautiful about that. There's something quite wholesome about that.
It is. I love that. The one thing you don't want to mess up on is the fake being like hit, because then you'll actually get hit, and then that's no fun at all.
Oh yeah, because if you die in the middle of the performance, then the audience is just laughing. He's gonna get up,
really wrong.
He's gonna get up, right?
No,
exactly. Why
exactly.
hasn't he got up yet? Is that fake blood? Why isn't he up yet?
I wasn't kidding. It's a show about death.
Guys, the show's over. Why isn't he up yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There was.
Why is the curtain down?
The curtain is down. He's still hanging out.
Did you guys see that one like BuzzFeed episode where Shane and Ryan were talking about how there was this like pianist who was known for doing like really long notes, and how he'd like let it sizzle, like put one finger on one note, and then it turns out that they were like, he's really letting it sizzle. Oh, maybe a little bit too much sizzle, and he died as he was like playing this. As he was playing the piano, and the audience were like, "Wait, no, is he dead? Is he dead?"
You can't say he didn't die doing what he loved.
Yep.
I mean, if you think about it, maybe it was a little too much sizzle.
Maybe it was.
Maybe that was the cause.
Maybe just
Maybe
cause of death. Too much sizzle.
Exactly.
Completely valid.
Exactly. Well, with also we were talking about the Dracula thing of podcasts and stuff.
Oh yeah, we did have a topic we were talking about, and now we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's fine. We talked about that, but I'm just saying as well. Do you guys listen to podcasts, or like what other podcasts do you guys listen to? Because I love like My Brother and Me and Adventure Zone, and those are quite some cool comedy things, and I think similar people with similar tastes seem to like that. So, are there any other podcasts that you guys listen to or have been listening to during isolation or in general?
Yeah, I have. I listen to true crime podcasts because I'm definitely not a psychopath, and they're great, and I love them so much. I particularly My Favorite Murder. It's great. It's just people talking about murder. If you want accuracy in a podcast, don't go for this one. But if you want a couple of girls, it's Karen and Georgia, and they're talking about murder and basically just spend the whole time being like, oh my god, that's just horrendous, why would anyone do that? It's a great one. It's pretty much this but about murder, where it's just they have a topic, they talk about it, and it's just wild. But yeah, highly recommend that one. I saw them live when they came to the UK, and it's just absolutely mental show.
Nice. I love that.
We normally have a very hard time keeping to our topics. We go off topic a lot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But honestly, I think the topic's more of a basis for discussion. Like, it doesn't have to be like, stay within the lines, you fools. This is a very chaotic thing anyway, you know? Like,
sometimes the best conversations happen when you're going off on a crazy tangent.
It's absolutely. The podcast that goes
absolutely.
wrong.
It's the podcast
It
that
is
goes
the podcast that goes wrong.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm thinking about a rebrand, maybe a spin-off podcast where it's you guys and then like another cast member, and it's just a podcast that goes wrong, and then you have 2 special guests a week. Just thinking for like a spin-off type thing.
Exactly.
Or the first like 3 episodes, I just kept going in and out. Like I don't know what it was, whether it was my Wi-Fi or something, but every single episode I would not be in it for the full time, and it would really goddamn annoying. So yes, we could very easily do that and make a podcast go wrong.
But at the end of every
I'll have to
podcast,
check
you
if it's
pull a
not
name out
spoken.
of a hat and one of you dies.
And
to
then
keep
it's just
changing
one
the
left.
host because somebody dies every podcast.
Exactly.
Oh no.
But
Just get kicked out.
the fun thing
Not
of that...
even kicked out.
No, just died.
You think I'm kidding? I'm wearing this suit. You think I'm kidding?
The fun
Just like
thing...
Russian roulette, but on Zoom.
Oh my god, wait. Yes. Do it just to feel something. But Matty, though... yeah, that's the mood. But Matty also, like, the thing was the first time, because this podcast was essentially your idea and you gather people and that's so wonderful. But the thing is, you were originally, like, recording on your phone, and then you were the one that kept breaking out. So I was like, I think I'm gonna do the recording now. because you kept having to go.
We wanted to get the software working on yours, but episode 1 it wasn't working, so we put it on there. The annoying thing was I had a camera, a phone, and an iPad recording. I cut out, so everything went off. So we
Oh,
had
good
to get
lord.
our editor Ren. If you don't know, Ren, Evil Misfits, very good egg, had to edit. I think it was 3 separate parts.
You got your
Two of
guests.
mine and one of
That's the
Ben's.
biggest flex ever. It's like, hey, welcome to the podcast. You're editing this one. Thanks so much. We'll send you the footage immediately afterwards. Have it on our desks within the hour, or you'll never come back again. Okay, thanks so much.
Well, I mean, she
we're
did
very
guest.
chill. We trust Ren.
Absolutely. But she did guest last week though, which was more of a surprise thing, but it was still great though. I mean, like, she's an amazing Beetlejuice cosplayer, and we're happy to have like a lot of like theatre people, or especially like-minded Beetlejuice people, but it's we really we need, you know, somebody needs to do the editing, and we are fools. So we madly
We don't
respect her
trust
for doing that.
ourselves.
No, absolutely
No.
not. Somebody would add
It's
some like
with
air
five
horns.
5 clowns on a Zoom call. We can only do so much.
Exactly.
Ren has that amazing personality though, where they can get down and get something finished to a really high quality, but can also mess around in the chaotic Beetlejuice style. And I think that's a great dual personality to have
It is.
that we trust.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
love that.
You guys speak highly of your guests. I'll be waiting for the episode after this where you go off about me, but just saying.
Will-
I'll be patient.
Yeah,
I'll be
no, we'll-
patient.
Will dressed up in a Beetlejuice suit. Doesn't that idiot know it's an audio medium? Stupid.
Who dresses up for a
Hey,
Zoom call?
I was trying to keep to a theme here.
No,
I was trying to get in the mindset.
No, I love you so much for that. Honestly, iconic. Yeah. So what?
We should do an April Fool's video next year of just a crazy podcast where everything goes wrong. We can do the podcast goes wrong on April Fool's.
I think
know
that
you
would be.
spoiled it.
I think that would be unlistenable if we made it like really deep fried and like 20 people on the
Deep-fried.
Zoom call.
Just let us edit it for one.
Yeah.
Half of
See how badly
everybody's
it can
mics
go
are turned
wrong.
up to the max. Half of the others have muted mics.
Yeah. Oh my god, everybody's here, and like we've somehow added. We buy like a charity Alex Brightman core, and then we find a way to take over the Zoom and unmute all of our mics, and just it goes fucking crazy.
We have Dana Steingold on Cameo and get her to make a surprise appearance, but it's just a prepaid clip.
Exactly. And also I end up playing this every 10 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Not again.
Amazing. Okay.
There you go. It's addictive, man. It's addictive.
Maybe have a segment where you get somebody on and then you have like a wheel of like challenges that you do, and one of them is like singing karaoke from the show.
Spin the wheel.
Spin the wheel, and one of them is death.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
can
wanna
do
just
that.
kill our guest.
All of them are dead.
I don't know why I'm
And
so
on next
fixated on
week's
the idea
episode, we
of
just
killing
kill
your
the
podcast
guest.
guest. Just saying. I
After
hope I'm the
lockdown's
first.
over, we all just turn up to their house like, hello.
Yeah, it's one big
It's
list.
Oh no,
cosplay.
in lockdown.
Knock on
This
their
was,
door.
this was part of the agreement.
We shoot
They signed the contract. They know what was happening.
we shoot them from 6 feet away. It's not, you know.
This is this
Social
is what you agreed
distancing.
to
Oh, we
when you
should make
tapped
all our
Apple.
guests sign a contract saying they can't diss us behind their back.
I would hope they're not doing
Maybe
that.
it's like Apple terms and conditions when they make you agree to them and you don't know what you're reading and
Yes.
you just agree to all
It's
these
just like
ridiculous
100
outlandish.
pages long.
You owe Ben a
Fun
kidney.
fact.
You owe...
We write it in
Fun fact
Latin.
about the Apple terms and conditions. In the terms and conditions, if you have signed them and agreed to them, which I'm 90% sure all of us probably have at some point, you have agreed to not using any Apple product to create a nuclear weapon.
Good.
God damn it, they go my
Fun
plan.
fact.
Oh, for God's sake. That's the one thing I buy Apple products
They're
for.
gonna get me on a
Exactly, I know,
technicality
right?
there.
Ruining all of our
No.
plans.
How do I unagree? I disagree
And
with
we
this.
unagree.
No, once you've
We thought
accepted
the
it, that's
goddamn
it.
things
For
now.
life.
They catch you breaking the terms and conditions and your iPhone just starts melting in your hand.
Well, I think if you're
It's
making
like
nuclear
Duolingo
waste, I think it will
outcomes.
melt probably.
You broke the terms and conditions. Now learn your French.
This is a part-time job when he's not slaughtering people for missing their Japanese lesson.
Oh god, the fucking Duolingo
Hilarious.
owl. I was so when I used to take German and then I stopped taking it and I was never more pleased to delete that app ever. Because it was like, you haven't been doing your language in a while, Ben. Can you get your shit together? And it was like, I don't need to be called out in this way, little owl. Get off my phone.
I got a message from the Duolingo app because I forgot to download it, but I hadn't used it in over a year, and it sent me a message last month or something, being like, "Do you want to learn some more Spanish?" No.
The answer is no.
No, I'm good.
Oh no, the app they've got me using, even though I'm never going to learn Spanish ever again because I'm going into engineering. It was like, win a free holiday. I'm like, I can't go anywhere.
He's trying to win you back. He misses you. You've been ghosting him for way too long. He's trying to win you back with material possession.
Exactly. Please, you've taken the kids. Please, I'll take you on a holiday. We'll go somewhere nice.
Took the kids. Somebody please say they know how to say they took the kids in French. Let's get Nina back here.
Well, the Duolingo app is so weird. They make you say like the oddest phrases. So I'm sure there's going to be one that says Karen, please come back. Give me the kids. Like,
Probably.
wait, actually,
it's the Duolingo owl asking directly for you to help it with its many marital problems with its foreign wife.
there was actually have any of you seen? This is again off topic, but I need to find this. There was. Have you guys seen Have you guys seen Gnomeo and Juliet?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have. I've not seen Sherlock
Gnomes.
Oh god, Sherlock Gnomes.
I want to see Sherlock Gnomes so bad. Is it available?
Yeah.
Oh,
my God.
no.
Okay.
Ben,
It will be
it's
on
on
Netflix
Netflix.
somewhere. Is it
Ben.
actually on Netflix?
Ben,
I
I'm
hate
Yeah.
that
telling
you
you
know
now.
that. I hate that you know that.
Wait, Perry, what are you saying? I need to
I
hear
have
this.
a
telling
little
you now.
sister. Well, I
You-
don't watch it myself. I have a little sibling. It's fine.
Ben,
Sure thing.
I
You
am
know?
telling you now.
Yes.
You are going to love Moriarty in Sherlock Gnomes.
There's Moriarty in Sherlock
No!
Gnomes.
He's a pie.
No
He's a
way.
pie.
He's
He's
a
a pie.
pie.
He's a what?
He's a pie. He's
Pie.
a cherry pie.
Obsessed
Why?
with his cell phone.
Can I
He's so good.
cosplay? No, wait, the gnome
it.
Moriarty.
Do it. I will send
Please.
you pictures.
Oh
I'll
my
send
god!
you the
Wait, no, I'm
pictures,
googling him so fast. I
This is an atrocity. This is a crime.
Whoa, sorry. Sorry. Everybody, stop everything you're doing and Google.
You are
Sherlock
not
Gnomes.
cosplaying
No
Pie
Moriarty.
Moriarty from
Yes,
Sherlock
I am.
Gnomes.
Yes, I
It
am.
looks amazing. It
No.
actually does.
That is exactly what my body tells me I look like.
Oh, for God's sake.
I love him.
Will, this is just gonna pop up on your TikTok feed now. You
No,
pause
because
this.
then Ben's going to ask me to do Gnome. He's going
I'm
to ask
gonna-
me to do Sherlock Gnomes.
You know what? You actually kind of look like you could do Sherlock Gnomes.
Ben, I'm about to leave the podcast.
I love you so much,
I'm
and
about
you, I do need you to do this for me. I do need you
Uh,
to do this for me.
Okay.
Oh my god. Oh yeah. So
This is my favorite Beetlejuice podcast.
it really is. There was what I was
People
gonna say about.
tuning in right now is just like, how did this get to gnomes?
No, the reason I was gonna say that was because we were talking about I can't remember what we were talking about, but the reason I said it was a friend of mine tweeted and they were like, "Oh, Gnomeo from Gnomeo and Juliet is hot," and I was like, "Yes, of course, we know this." And then I checked their they sent me their WikiHow or something, and it's the wiki fandom, and I can't find it now, but one of it was like Gnomeo, 3 foot something, or Juliet, and then on her page it was like, Juliet, what a bitch, absolute whore, she cheated on him, how dare she was mean to Gnomeo, and Gnomeo was absolute badass, and he's best friends with this guy, and it was born, place of birth, bathtub, place of death, also bathtub, something else, but it was very good. I need to rewatch this film, it's absolutely a masterpiece. But that was what I was gonna say. If you can find their individual, the character wiki, fandom wiki, I might still look for it and bring it up later. But that was that.
Ben, I love you and I support you, but I really don't have the mentality to get into the Gnomeo and Juliet fandom right now.
Well, we'll get into it later.
Why not?
I'll make it a TikTok tag.
I don't have the strength to I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Kill me? That's the only way you'll stop it. We have to make a gnome TikTok OC tag.
I will absolutely not be doing that. Thank you very
How
much.
many,
Yes, you
how
will.
many of these ideas have we come up with? We've come up with the gnomes, the Oreos, the Beetlejuices.
Oh yeah, we
yeah,
mentioned
the
the
Oreos.
Oreos last week.
Oh no.
A signed Oreo
Oh.
kid.
We've come up with so many ideas, we just don't do them.
Yeah, I mean,
One week.
because
Somebody
they're
takes
cursed.
those
We will.
ideas, can we sue them for copyright?
Because it's cursed.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
No,
yeah,
we'll
I'm
just straight
taking
up murder
notes
them.
right now about your gnome OC idea. I've struck gold.
Why? Wait, sorry, real quick. Why on personality of Gnomeo is there about 5 paragraphs of very... Look how long that is. Nobody else can see that, but look, those are each individual words describing Gnomeo from Gnomeo and Juliet. And it's like stress-free, relaxed, cooperative, grateful, perseveres, sympathetic, courageous, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. Who is writing this about Gnomeo?
Nice. It's just every Oxford definition for a good personality trait, and somebody's just assigned that to this fucking
They've
gnome.
copied the thesaurus.
Absolutely.
It's just given it to simp gnome.
And then at the end, it just says he is also really funny. Like, oh wow, no, we love. Anyway, Stan Gnomeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I think Ben's a little bit too much of a Gnomeo stan at this point. I think we need to diffuse him.
No,
I think we
I'm
need
all
to
for the.
dramatically switch topics.
No, I'm for the Pi Moriarty. I'm so pleased about this. Thank you for letting me know about that. That's my
You're
new
welcome.
kid.
You've not even seen the film, Ben.
I'm gonna go watch it. I'm watching it today.
We've caused this.
Oh dear me.
Well, I caused this.
Boy,
I
oh
brought it
my.
up, and then Perry told me about the Pi Moriarty, and now it's all a spiral. Anyway, next up, as always, we have Attic Chat. Now we're actually back to the script. So first, we have a few questions here for the lovely Will. So how did you enter? Yeah, the little grin on your face. So how did you enter the world of cosplay?
How did I enter the world of cosplay? I sort of stumbled upon it by accident. I mean, it was like year 2016. I went to my first Comic-Con, which was actually not my choice. It was my mum dragged me to one.
Your
For
mom?
some reason on Mother's Day, because her boyfriend wanted to go. It was a very confusing turn of events. But I went to my first Comic-Con, and it was very infectious. I ended up getting pictures with almost every cosplayer I interacted with. Yeah, and it was after that it just sort of became an addiction. I went to one a few months after that, made my first cosplay for it. Just kept attending more and more after that, and eventually I got the guts to actually start posting them on the internet. And I made an Instagram for it, and then that slowly built into TikTok, and now I am where I am now, which is a point that I'm kind of confused at, because I'm halfway between being an accomplished cosplayer and halfway between being like a just little chaos gremlin boy.
Which is perfect.
I can't quite decide which one I am, but I'll take
that's
either
completely
one.
valid.
Which we love.
I'll
that.
take either one.
I'm living for the Tom Nook at the minute, by the way.
Oh, Tom Nook was that was one I kind of did on a whim. I never had any intention of cosplaying Tom Nook before I started playing Animal Crossing,
We
but
love
then I
it.
just kind of went for it.
It's perfect. It's perfect. It's everything.
Beautiful.
I mean, with cosplay, I mean, some of the most important characters to me, I'd say definitely up there is Beetlejuice, just purely because of what this fandom's given to me. Like, I wouldn't be speaking to you guys right now if actually going to plug him right now, James Jack Cosplay on Instagram.
Yeah!
We all know James. We all love James.
Yeah!
He's the one who got me into this fandom.
We've mentioned
He told
James
me
in
about
most
it.
episodes.
He told me about it, and I was really skeptical. I was like, come on, they're making musicals out of anything now. You seriously telling me you made a Beetlejuice musical? And on his recommendation, I listened to the album, and then I listened to it again, and then I listened to it for a third time. And then it was just a downward spiral from there.
I love that.
Most of the amazing friends that I know now came as a result of this fandom. All of you guys I know as a result of this fandom. I'm in an amazing group chat with some absolutely wonderful creative people. One of them being Perry right now. Shout out to him. He's right there.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Perry the
this
Platypus.
fandom means a lot to me. It sent me to New York just purely that's what kind of headspace I was in. I was like, okay, so I'm going to go to New York and see the show, and there's nobody that's going to stop me. And that is what happened.
But it's great you did. It's great
Yeah,
you got
well,
to
I
see
mean,
it.
one of my crowning achievements actually is the fact that Kelvin Moon Low follows me on Instagram, and
That's amazing.
he followed me. Like, that was a week before I went to New York to go see the show. He followed me on Instagram after I posted some Beetlejuice stuff, and then we were DMing for a little bit. He came out of stage door to see me the second time I saw the show, which was really nice of him.
Oh, that's so nice.
That's nice.
He's such a king. He still follows me. It's just, yeah, that's something that I hold very dear because it's just a little bit of validation. I like it.
Good. You deserve all the validation and support and attention. You are absolutely legend.
I mean, I think most of it's come very recently, though. As you took absolute relish in mentioning in the way that you introduced me. Yes, I received a little bit of infamy recently on account of one particular cosplay. It's got me.
Yes.
It's got me a little bit of attention on a few different social medias.
Yeah.
I was
If
so excited
nobody
to
is
see
aware of it yet, in February of 2020, this little independent movie came out called Sonic the Hedgehog. This real promising up-and-comer, Jim Carrey, played a character called Dr. Robotnik. And I cosplayed him, and I did a little dance on TikTok to this Swedish nightcore song called The Caramel Dancing, which is like a nightmarish hell dream for most kids who grew up on the internet in 2013. And yeah, it kind of blew up. I found it on Tumblr. I found it on Twitter. It was on Facebook. It was on Instagram.
Wow.
I still, to this day, I've even in the last like week and a half, 3 meme pages have put TikToks of mine on there.
I love that.
Hilarious.
That's amazing.
I love it so much.
Your legacy
That's when
lives
you know
on.
you've made it, Will, when the meme page starts.
I've been reposted on several meme pages.
Good.
But yeah, that was obviously, it's not my proudest moment, but it's gotten me connected to a lot of creators that I really looked up to. Started interacting with me on mutuals with a lot of them now, which is absolutely insane. And that's, I kind of hold Robotnik pretty dear. And obviously my whole namesake is Doctor Strange, so I hold that pretty dear. But yeah, Beetlejuice is very, very important to me in my cosplay experience.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. We kind of touched on it a bit, but do you have any funny stories from cosplay?
Funny stories.
At cons or online or...
A lot of funny stories online. Definitely Robotnik and that whole debacle there, and then ended up sort of like brushing shoulders with people like Prince Welcome Matt and Lolly Tiger Pony, big creators I really admire, sort of that I'm friends with now. The last Comic-Con I attended before lockdown was Birmingham MCM 2019 in November, and that was when I met up with a lot of people from this aforementioned group chat, and we did a big Beetlejuice group, and it was just the most fun. A few things. We ended up running into another couple of Beetlejuices there, and we just sort of amassed them into our big glob of Beetlejuices that we were just sort of accumulating as we walked around the con. There were other Lydias there. They got pictures of other theatre characters. We found an Elphaba, we found a Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. We found Elder Price and things like that. We found movie Beetlejuices, and we found lots of fans of the musical and the show, and it was good to interact with them. I'm trying to think. There was a particular story. There's most of the funny things I can remember happened from James, because I know that we recreated one of Presley Ryan's TikToks.
Oh yeah.
Where it was just Beetlejuices and Lydia. We did some of Presley Ryan's TikToks. We recreated some moments from the show, or we were in this little alley thing, and everybody familiar with the whole Danganronpa thing? Everybody heard of it? Yeah, we had a Junko cosplayer come up to us and ask for a picture with the group. Yes. And we took like a generic photo. All of the Beetlejuices started Junko posing in this photo, like doing the poses that the character does. But the icing on the cake was that this cosplayer didn't know how to Junko pose. And so James took them aside and taught them how to do it.
Wow.
Cool. James has taught so many people how to Junko pose by this point. He taught me how to.
This girl dressed in months as Junko was being taught how to Junko pose by Beetlejuice.
That is such an image.
It was a moment that we got on camera, we filmed it, recorded it, and it's something I treasure forever.
Post it on TikTok, baby. I
will post it on TikTok. I think James has already put it up there along with the one with the TikToks we recreated. But yeah, I've got to post some old con videos on TikTok just purely because they were absolutely exquisite.
Now is the time.
Yeah, I have lots of sort of like fun stories. Not all of them. Most of them through the internet. I have a lot of fun experiences at cons, but not particular like little anecdotes. But honestly, I have fun with cosplay all the time. Even when I'm sort of filming and shooting, I still find a way to have fun. completely destroyed a lamp once when I was cosplaying Thor. I got my whole bathroom coated in green dust from when I accidentally missprayed the hairspray that I was using for Beetlejuice.
Oh, that is too real.
The amount
pain.
The amount of stuff for different like cosplays that I put together, that like certain items that get put in like 3 or 4 cosplays that you can see posted. Like I am soon, I think it's arriving soon, the stuff I'm cosplaying the character Jason Dean from the film Heathers.
Oh,
Yeah.
The infamous trench coat that I'm using for his costume is actually the same trench coat that is featured in all of my Dr. Robotnik TikToks.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's the trench coat cinematic universe, and stuff like that is present in a few things. Like I use a lab coat for a few different things. I've used the ears for Banjo and Kazooie and Tom Nook now. A lot of stuff gets shared around, but yeah, you could call me lazy if you like, but I will call you Bean. I will call you Bean.
It's good to recycle parts. Always a good thing. So, Will, what advice can you give to somebody who wants to start cosplaying?
I love being asked this question. People ask me this question on live streams all the time, and I absolutely love answering it because I always have a pre-scripted thing that I like to get. I got my little thing that I like to say.
Nice.
First thing you do is you have to pick your character wisely. If you start off, I'd say choosing a definitive character. It's got to be a character that you either relate to, that you feel like you can see yourself in that character's shoes, or if it's just a character that you have like a great connection with, say like if you really like the source material that they're from, or maybe it's a character that you grew up with, something like that, or a character that has a big impact on you. First, you have to choose your character. Second off, don't be afraid to experiment, because you don't have to go into straight up. So like if you want to buy a pre-made cosplay, you're absolutely valid for doing so. But I do recommend getting started and getting a little bit creative first. Maybe start off, I think is a completely admirable way to start cosplaying is closet cosplaying. So if they're seeing stuff in your wardrobe and stuff that you have at your disposal that you can makeshift a cosplay out of. I think the first posts I ever made, which are still up there, please don't scroll down to the bottom of my account,
Be right back.
was a closet cosplay of stuff that I put together to make my first Doctor Strange. And I keep that up there just as a reminder of where I started, because it's good, I think, for everybody has to start somewhere. So don't be afraid to experiment at the start. Don't do it in the hopes of getting followers from it, because I feel like if you're cosplaying or you're making content, or if you're doing anything to be popular, you're kind of doing it for the wrong reasons. It's an art form. It's a community. It's something that everybody in this community, we're all the same. We're all just sort of like, we were maybe the shyer kids at school, or we were like the ones, we need a creative outlet, and everybody should be willing to support and help each other. So we're all in the same boat. You will no doubt meet amazing people through this community. It can be a little rough sometimes, but yeah, don't do it in the hopes of becoming a famous cosplayer, whatever that means. Do it because it's something that you enjoy doing, and the second that you're putting content out there, the second you stop enjoying doing that is maybe that's your time for you to maybe pack it away. You should only do it as long as you're enjoying it. This is purely a joy oriented thing, and that's how you should base your experience around it.
Exactly, because when people gain a following as well, it's a lot of, from the outside it looks really cool, and not that I've got like a super much following, but even if, you know, there's one weird person that comments, or one a bit too demanding, or some kind of whatever, if it starts to be something where you're like, oh god, I need to make something, I need to make content, I need to do this, and then if it doesn't get this many likes, then it's like, oh god, what am I doing wrong? And then if it becomes like a point of stress of your checking likes or comments and followers, and I know that's super easy to do, but like, yeah, I totally agree. Like, it's got to be with cosplay, or even with any social media content making, like whether you're doing POVs or dancing or whatever, you got to do it because you like it, because like otherwise then it becomes this whole big stress pile and fire of just kind of like, oh god, no, and like, and it's often not your fault.
People with all types of following get weird comments and sort of maybe sometimes even nasty or demanding comments, but you can't let it dishearten you.
Exactly. Yeah, I just mean like do it so you don't feel like it's unless you're genuinely getting paid from it, like it's not a job. Like it's something that
if there's like a brand deal, you kind of have a commitment.
Sure,
Okay,
yeah.
if you're doing a brand deal, you've got to have a commitment to the client.
Exactly.
But I haven't had many brand deals up until this point.
Have you? Oh my god, do you have a brand deal? Have you had a brand deal?
I've worked with an app before. I think sort of in the process of right now doing promotion for an app.
Ooh.
I've done a delivery service at one point. It was sort of like something you could subscribe to. I posted a little bit about it a few months ago. It was sort of like it was even before quarantine. It was a self-care sort of thing where you would pay this person a certain amount of money and they'd send you a little self-care box that had like letters and hygiene products and stuff like that in there. Just like a nice little service like that. Yeah, people have reached out to me by that sort of thing just for like little promotional bits. Even like I don't necessarily get paid for it. Like this brand deal I'm currently working on, I'm not really making anything from it. I think it's just a concept I'm really excited about.
Well, that's good. I love that. That's so cool. Hell yeah, man.
There's one thing I want to put in. When I started, I didn't really understand this, but there was people that would like all your videos and it would be like, yeah, that's cool, thank you for supporting. But then they'd start like saying, oh, do this, do that, without like saying please, or said, oh, you're my friend now and stuff. I'm like, I've never talked to you. We don't chat.
Absolutely.
Please don't.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to try and get to know me, come on, let's chat. We can talk. We can maybe do stuff like I've reached out to all these guys and we've built on this and we've had the podcast and I've been talking to each of them for a while, longer than that. But then there's just people that suddenly think, oh, because I watch your videos, oh, we're friends now and stuff. And it's you've got to learn when to say no to people.
Yes.
Well, in a community, it can be really easy to make friends. So if there's people that you find common ground with, you can find a friendship can blossom pretty quickly. But you can't, it not necessarily when it's forced like that, if somebody automatically assumed that you're friends out of that sort of thing. It's a sort of a boundaries thing, because sometimes people forget that cosplayers are people as well. If people make it just because they're making free content for you on the internet doesn't necessarily mean that they owe you anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Facts.
It's a difficult thing to deal with sometimes because like then it's sort of like trying to. I think it's down to the individual's better judgment, and I think people need to sort of take into account that social etiquette doesn't necessarily go out the window just because it's over the internet.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
That's the thing I think a lot of people lose sight on, especially when it comes to sort of like treating people with respect and decency. Sometimes it just sort of goes out the window.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But on a different note, I would say I wholeheartedly recommend anybody that wants to get into cosplay absolutely do, because I think it's a fantastic hobby and it's certainly got me pretty far.
Yeah.
You know, it was just sort of like in my mental well-being, it's done wonders for me. All of my favorite people I've met through this amazing hobby, and I can absolutely recommend going to cons, posting online, interacting with other cosplayers, especially now. I think it's a good time because everybody's sort of in their houses, and it's like, what else have we got to do?
Exactly. I'm waiting on some stuff
other than go on podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Gotta the Neitherworld podcast.
Oh, smooth.
Episodes weekly. Episodes
like
weekly.
title card.
Do special guests.
Exactly. Wonderful. Charlie?
Oh, yeah. Moving on to the next topic. We also want to discuss what other things that we've seen going on the internet, sort of like what other people have made while they're in lockdown. So like Rob's conductor little skits, which are pretty good. Any live streams, people offering classes and fundraising through like cameos and stuff. So I know Kerry Butler, she's been doing fundraising through videos that she's making. So you can donate some money to her. I can't remember what charity it's going to.
I think is it the Actors Fund? I know a lot of people are doing things for that. I think that's where Leslie's cameo stuff is going. The Actors Fund, which is pretty cool. I think she hit over 2,000 for the Actors Fund the other day, which is amazing. Just kind of all of that is just going to help out, especially with them not being able to have work at the moment and get paid to do it. So yeah, it's nice to see the community coming out and supporting people.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a part of a live stream thing my friend did. I don't think that it's available to donate anymore, but it was called James Network Live, and it was a GoFundMe, and I don't know how many he made, but he kind of put a bunch of stuff of like comedy and skits and singing and fun stuff, and it raised like $1,500, which was the goal, and that was really, really cool. And it was like an hour or something, and that was for the Actors Fund as well. And it's like a whole bunch of different mediums in theatre or just people. And I think what's amazing right now, as well as many communities, but also especially the theatre community being heavily affected by all this right now, is that we're trying to pull together and create an alternative of also making theatre more accessible, like National Theatre Live each week. Like, they actually just announced like their other new things for the coming weeks. I am begging and praying and screaming at them that they will do Amadeus, or otherwise I'll fucking be so mad. I really want them to. But like, you know, theatre coming together and making it more accessible and available to keep going and have donations and people being kind enough to do that and raising money and keeping it strong, because theatre is such a, like, as well as cosplay, we've made so many like friends and wonderful things, but theatre as it is such a family and such a community, whether you work in it or whether you watch it or whether you whatever, it's such a wonderful thing, and it's great to see everybody like pull together by doing live streams and charity things and skits and content, because also what I found is people you stan or like actors you love during this time are either like overly active or dead. Like, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing you see
absolutely, yeah.
in between.
Which is
I think the sense of community has been really inspiring. So a lot of people seem to be getting together to continue bringing people entertainment, to fund good causes and things like that. I think that's where the lines become kind of blurred, because I remember when quarantine first started to kick off, people got very mad. There's a very small group of celebrities about that John Lennon cover that they did, and I think it's sort of what shows the. I mean, rightfully so. I despise that video. But,
it was also all in the wrong keys. Did you see the
celebrities' sort of activity during quarantine? I think it sort of shows which ones are in it when they're making content during quarantine to like genuinely entertain people, just to give people something to just sort of like watch, or something even to inspire people, like getting involved in charity work. Like Parks and Recreation, they did a big cast Zoom call, like all in character, as like a reunion special type thing. I think I don't remember his name, Ryan McCartlan, the fellow who played the original off-Broadway Jason Dean in the Heathers musical. He did sort of like a cover of 17, except it was about quarantine. And it's just sort of like things like that, and it's the borderline between actually entertaining people and then self-promo, which I feel like the Imagine video was. It's just sort of like, hey, look at all these celebrities. And we're also, all in quarantine too. We're all the same.
Exactly, but also it's so easy for them to be like, oh my god, just stay inside, and like, it's not inherently something to be really mad about, but like, it's funny that these people are like, the celebrities with massive mansions are like, I'm doing great in isolation. Like, don't worry, it's actually not that boring or bad. It's totally fine and chill because I've got this big garden and places to roam around, which is, you know, good for them. But also the Imagine thing. Did you see the person who did a piano accompaniment and how many times they had to like switch the key and nobody could stay in the original key? Like, it wasn't just changed octaves, it was like it was entirely
I
just
love
wrong.
all of like the criticisms on the Imagine. I think it was a load of British comedians got together and did like a parody of the Imagine one. I think it was organised by Joe Lycett.
Oh, you mean Hugo
Joe
Boss?
Lycett is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, the Bastards.
Do you mean Hugo Boss?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about the Hugo. I've been watching on Your Back recently. Got Your Back recently by Hugo Boss. Now we call it.
No, I do like that. Was such a power move, to be honest.
It's the biggest power move in television history. Changing your whole name for a TV show is honestly just the biggest power move ever.
I mean, I love him.
He absolutely was.
I adore him. An absolute king.
The comedian formerly known as Joe Lycett is, you know,
just absolutely. Wait, let me check something. I think, I need to stop doing this, but this is sort of a flex, but I think he still follows me on Instagram. Yes, he does. So I met him.
Look at the boy go!
Yeah, right. So I met him on like in London Bridge one time, and he was getting off my train or something, and I saw him nearby, and I was like, "Whoa, hello! Like, sorry to bother you. your joke. It was before the name change. And I was like, hey, just so you know, like, I just wanted to say that I think you're really cool and I love your comedy, and also that it's really cool to see somebody who's like out as a bi dude, because I never see people talking about that, and it being such a cool and like natural discussion thing, and like I'm also bi, so I was like, that's really cool as some representation of a human being that I see being alive and being true to themselves as like a comedian, as a performer. Like, that's really cool to see. And then I was like, can I give you my Instagram? He's like, sure, and he just still hasn't unfollowed me, so we love that.
We love that. That's blessed. I love that.
We love that. He's such a sweetheart, and he's very, very funny. But like, yeah, that was.
Have you all been watching the Show Must Go on Friday nights?
The what?
Yeah, most of the time.
By Andrew Lloyd Webber. Friday nights, Andrew Lloyd Webber's been putting out a musical every Friday, and it's available for like a day, and then it goes off. Last week was like the major Andrew Lloyd Webber celebration for his birthday, and they've been raising money for the Actors Fund as well. So that's been fun to watch, because they did Joseph, Jesus Christ Superstar, Phantom, Love Never Dies, and then Celebration. So it's been really good to see the theatre community, and especially big people like Lloyd Webber, trying to help out and raise some money.
Yeah,
I just want School of Rock.
Me too.
Absolutely.
And we need School Rock.
Andrew, I know you're listening. School of Rock.
Exactly. Okay, wait. We need to. I realize it's getting close to 6, so we probably need to wrap it up a bit more.
For anybody not,
absolutely.
I mean, for everybody who's not seeing the visual of this right now, I've done my own little quick change myself, and I'm in my work uniform. I changed out of my suit into my work uniform.
Will's going out on the front lines.
Yes.
I am a key worker.
No,
You are?
Yeah, just a little bit of. Oh, don't clap me! I will punch you in the face.
Also, okay, we're gonna move on, but real quick, Will, one of my friends responded to the story that I reposted, and they called you fine. So just that's a little compliment.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
As in,
good. I'm not awful. I am.
No,
fine.
as in.
I will accept that.
No, as in that man's fine. As in he's hot. Just so, there you go.
Oh, well then I'll actively disagree, and I will condemn this person to fight me in the streets the second the quarantine is over.
Okay, then. Well, I agree with them, so we are fighting.
I accept. I appreciate the compliment, but you're wrong.
But we're fighting. The fight is welcome. We will fight. I need some kind of physical contact. I will punch you, and it'll feel.
We fight at dawn.
We fight at dawn. 6 feet apart with like a really big pole, just like.
It's like a stick reaching across the country to poke each other in the face.
Exactly. Okay, so next we have Otho's life lessons, and this week's wisdom is just to let everyone know that while everything is hard right now and we're having to adapt to this new way of doing things, it won't be forever. And if you feel like you need help, reach out to friends and stay in contact and keep each other safe. And well done for Will for being a key worker.
What a wholesome end! What a wholesome end to such a chaotic hour.
Yeah.
We normally record just in the middle of the clapping, so we normally have to go and clap, or like last week we paused.
I am sorry for the dramatic schedule change, but this was the only way I was going to be able to do it.
No, it's probably good, because then we don't have to pause it and restart with the clap, because we had an air horn interrupt it last time.
Yeah, no, we always have an air horn over at my end.
Oh my god.
My dad bought some air horns. I don't know why.
Legend.
Oh no.
A pot and pan is not good enough, apparently.
Well,
last week, somebody got out a camera at work and filmed us all while we did the clap. And I think they put it on social media or something.
Oh,
I was at work, I was off guard, and just to have somebody wandering around with a camera filming everybody clapping was peculiar.
The air horn is definitely an essential purchase, clearly. Have to go out.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because that's the best way to support the NHS, is to stand out of your window and just honk really loudly. That's the best.
Also another side serious thing to the people who are still voting against the NHS voting for the people who are against the NHS pay rise, then don't do that, and don't be hypocritical, and clap for the NHS at next.
And perish,
exactly.
You're invited to perish, formally invited.
Exactly, so you are hypocritical and stupid, so maybe get your shit together at the next voting while you realise how much the NHS is doing and working towards. Anyway.
With that, we come to the end of today's episode.
Yep.
On that bombshell. Let's go through. So where can people find you online? Matty?
Me?
It's Matty cosplay show on everything now. I've done it so it's easier.
Yes. Good.
Hit me up after this. I don't think I have you yet.
Okay, Charlie?
I'm Charles II Cos on Instagram and TikTok with underscores between everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Ben?
Ben Benedict Talk on TikTok. BE Benedict and then OK because I'm trying to be funny. So that's me.
Okay, and I am 4 rats in a trench coat. That's the number 4 rat in a trench coat.
So that brings us. So, well,
sorry, was
where
I
can
meant to go?
everyone find you?
I can be found on Instagram and TikTok as all one word, Mr. Doctor Cosplay, all 4 words, MISTERDOCTOR cosplay. Don't know why I spelled it out.
You
Never
can
done that
spell.
before, but there we go.
Well done.
I'm also on Twitter as Mr. Doctor Tweets, but that's just where I ramble about things that I hate, so don't follow me on there.
You said it now, people will.
Oh god, I spoke it into existence.
And as always, you can find the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, at the Neitherworld podcast, and listen to it on YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud.
Yes.
Please do that.
We
Please
just
listen
want
to
Do
us.
it.
Please.
I'm begging you. They won't let me out of here until you start listening to it.
Exactly.
I agree to the terms and conditions. I'm stuck here until you do.
We just want to thank everyone who's been listening and supporting the podcast. From everyone here, have a great week. Goodbye. From me, Ben.
Me, Matty.
Me, Charlie.
And me, Perry. Bye.
And
Bye,
and you will. Bye.
Will.
Bye.
Bye.